Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. It is October, it is the month of Halloween, therefore we are celebrating with lots and lots of extra episodes. And another thing we do in October is we try to hit maybe one or two big classics or something like that we've not gotten to yet. Make it feel a bit special that we hit out a big name. And somehow we have gotten this far, and we have never talked about Friday the 13th.
Interesting.
I know, it's amazing. Now, this also marks the start of a bit of a quest, because what we're going to do from here on out, starting here, because obviously it's Friday the 13th, assuming you watch this the day it goes up, and you should, unless you just find us later, in which case, fair enough. But this went up on Friday the 13th during Halloween, which, by the way, the next time that happens, Connor looked it up, it's like another 6-7 years. It doesn't happen often. It's like every 6-7 years, and then occasionally there'll be like a big jump of about 10 years. It's not a regular occurrence. So
Man, it's just such a bummer because they, for a while, we're supposed to have a new Friday come out today. And,
yeah,
what I think we found out earlier in the year that it got pushed back, but it would have been so cool. And then just knowing that they're not going to get the chance to do that for another 6 or 7 years is like, God damn it.
yeah. We'll likely have like a new one just out, before then.
Yeah.
Probably.
Or if we get like a Friday the 13th in March or something, maybe they time it with that, but it won't be the same.
We'll get. I mean, there's usually one or two Friday the 13th every year. So like occasionally you'll get a year with 3 of them. So there's opportunities. It's not too far. Given that movies typically take a year or two to make, like there'll always be one to aim for.
Yeah.
If you look in the calendar, but so yeah, this is going to be the first Friday the 13th. I'll just give you the spoiler warning off the bat. I feel like there's not much point, but yeah. So over the next year, we are going to do one of these a month.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we should finish
Culminating with the 13th movie on the 13th month.
If there was 13, that'd be great. Unfortunately, there's 12. We're waiting on the 13th, but we'll be finishing with the 12th movie, theoretically next September. Theoretically. Because we don't have to. This is the thing with Texas Chainsaw and Saw and Chucky. We had to kind of rush those a little bit because when the new ones were coming out. But with this, we can take our time. We can just steadily go once per month, so it's not, too clogged up, and we can work our way through the franchise. So
we'll treat ourselves.
Yeah, treat ourselves.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, so first Friday the 13th, 1980. Sean S. Cunningham directed, who made this film because he wanted to make another film. And this was a quick little cheap movie to make to try and earn a bit more money. That was the purpose behind it. The movie that they were trying to make after this, which I believe was a soccer movie, never got made. And this ended up being the giant hit that no one expected and kind of started the slasher boom. Certainly it was the start of the proper boom phase. Like, Halloween obviously is what it's ripping off a lot of. Bit of a Bay of Blood in there. But this was the one that everyone went, oh, we can make a cheap horror movie in about a week and then make lots of money off of it. This should be good.
I hope the soccer movie he was planning was still a horror movie. Like it takes place at soccer camp or something. And
I want to believe that, but I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true.
Just see like a soccer ball with a knife at the end of it. The killer just kicks it into your face.
It was either going to be a kid's sports movie.
Ugh.
Or it was going to be like the soccer mum has a crush on the coach or something like that. I have no idea what it was going to be. I remember that from watching the extras. So,
to be fair, it's pretty easy to rag on soccer movies, but Shaolin Soccer is a phenomenal movie. So soccer movies are actually pretty dope based on the one that I really like.
I've actually not seen that particular soccer movie. I have, however, seen The Big Green, which is kind of like, you had the Sandlot, and then they went ahead, took one of the actors out of the Sandlot, the chubby kid with the curly hair.
Yeah, replaced him with the goat.
No, he's in the Big Green. He's the goalie.
Oh, okay. Well, who plays the goat?
I don't think there was a goat.
I'm 99% sure there was a goat in the Big Green.
I've not seen it since I was like 10, Tim, so apologies if I'm not remembering the plot details and some of the minor characters.
We'll look it up on Gotopedia after this episode.
I remember that the fat kid from the Sandlot was the goalie. I remember Mahoney from Police Academy was the coach. That's it. That's all I remember, Tim.
Okay.
Now, can we talk about Friday the 13th? Because I feel like
Yes, that's what I've been trying to get to. You're the one who keeps bringing up soccer and goats and...
Oh, give me strength. Give me... Kill them. Kill them. Kill Tim. Kill them. I don't have a kid. It's weird to say kill them, Daddy, when I don't actually have a son.
They shouldn't have been podcasting. They should have been watching my boy.
They were too busy podcasting, possibly making love. No, we weren't. If you're going to kill us, at least kill us for the right reason. Thank you very much. Right.
At some point, they are going to have to make like the killer podcast movie. Like some vengeful spirit is angry at podcasters.
Clearly, we have to make this movie, Tim. We have to make.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. But by the way, I don't know if I ever told you this, but my idea, if they ever did like a Jason versus Michael movie.
Okay.
Friday the 31st.
Ooh, I love it. That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's what you call it. You don't call it Jason versus Michael. You call it Friday the 31st. Perfect. So, I don't know why we're talking about Jason so much, because he's not really in this one.
No.
Mrs. Voorhees, Jason's mother, is the killer, which everyone knows as the answer to the trivia question at the beginning of the first Scream movie, which, to be fair, is how I learned this, because I saw Scream before I saw any of these movies, because it was new and it came out when I was just sort of starting to dabble in the horror genre. But here's something to make you feel old, Tim. It makes me feel old.
Okay.
The first Scream is now older than Friday the 13th was when Scream came out.
Wait, that's hold on, I'm gonna kind of process that in my head. All right, so the first Scream movie,
21 years old.
21 years old, so that is now older than Friday the 13th was when that came out, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
The point I'm making is when Scream came out and that was the trivia question, it felt like it was a question about an old movie.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah,
right?
I can see that, yeah.
And now Scream is actually older than Friday the 13th was at the time, which is kind of insane.
You know what? I would be so screwed if I got a call from Ghostface and they asked me like a Saw trivia question. Like if they were like, in Saw 4, what is the name of the detective that I'm like, stop right there, just kill me. I do not know.
I'd probably just cut him off and be like, that stupid one who leaned into the trap with the mechanical noises, even though she knows the killer makes mechanical traps. That stupid cow. God, that moment annoyed me so much. So, so, where was I? Yes. So, yeah, it's old. I mean, obviously, that makes Friday the 13th very old now. Friday the 13th is now 37 years old.
Yikes.
Which... it's still weird. I still think of like the 80s as like 20 years ago, because my clock just is it just kind of revolves around the millennium. Like
it's a very easy timestamp to put on things.
Yeah, whereas now that's not true anymore. Now it's actually closer to double than that, and that's weird. But so Friday the 13th, it's kind of a typical slasher movie. It's set in Friday the 13th, although other than the title at the start, well, not just the title, but there's like a caption that comes up saying Friday the 13th, present day. Right, because obviously the movie starts with a flashback of like this couple being killed at the end of the 50s at Camp Crystal Lake. But other than that caption, it actually has nothing, like, it doesn't matter. No one ever mentions that it's Friday the 13th. No characters talk about it being unlucky. No, like, I think the sheriff at one point mentions it's Friday the 13th and it's a full moon, and that is like all we ever get. None of the characters who actually get killed ever actually seem to even be aware that it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I was a little upset that no one just went, on the Friday the 13th of all days, and then just died.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you watch Halloween, and Halloween is such a big part of that movie's identity. Now, admittedly, Friday the 13th has a disadvantage as a holiday, just because A, it's not really a holiday, and B, you don't decorate for Friday the 13th. Whereas Halloween, you have some pumpkins around, you make, people are trick-or-treating, you make it feel like it's part of the movie.
I would almost argue that I don't even think anyone would really ever notice Friday the 13th if it wasn't for these movies. Like growing up, I knew it was like whatever, a weird unlucky day or whatnot, but
Hmm.
like I don't know. I don't feel like that would be as big or as like relevant as a thing without these movies to kind of keep it alive.
Which is funny because, ironically, like I just said, it has almost nothing to do with the
Yeah.
day, and yet somehow it helps promote the day as like oh, it's Friday the 13th, and Friday the 13th helps promote these movies, but neither of them really have that much to do with each other beyond the title. So
Nope.
because I think this is even the only one that actually makes a point of saying that it's Friday. Maybe two does. I can't remember really off the top of my head. We'll find out when we see it. But I don't actually think the rest of them even ever say, "Oh, it's Friday the 13th again."
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
no. Jason's about killing people. That's all that happens. No one
Yeah.
cares. But hey, so Camp Crystal Lake. So there's this guy. What's his name? I forget all the names. I think Steve. Yeah, Steve. He is bringing the place back up to scratch. He wants to get it all fixed up so that the kids can come and camp over the summer. And he's got a bunch of sort of college students, maybe upper high school students, coming to be the counselors and help out get it fixed back up. So it's in this period where it's getting fixed back up with all these sort of teenagers and early college students around, and people are being murdered. And then eventually there's one victim left, and we find out who the killer is. And there's a bit of a chase, bit of a scuffle, the killer slaps her around a bit, which is actually maybe one of my criticisms, is that almost everyone else in the movie is killed immediately as soon as they see a killer, and the killer strikes him, just right away with a blink of an eye. And yet for some reason in the final victim, the final girl, like she slaps her around repeatedly and throws her to the ground and just makes a whole show of it.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'll ask the question, Tim. Do you enjoy Friday the 13th?
I do. I'm not overly I'm not overly in love with it. So here's the thing. Growing up, I was never really a Friday the 13th guy. I always kind of had this thing where it felt like you're either a Freddy guy or a Jason guy, and I was all about Nightmare on Elm Street. That was like my franchise, and I kind of put off like I'd seen bits and pieces of the Friday movies here. I probably saw a couple of random ones growing up, but I really didn't watch like all of them all the way through until like a couple of years ago. Not this year, but I think the year before. And when I rewatched it, I was like, I actually found like a new appreciation for the series. I was like, oh, I actually like this a lot. But like I've said with a lot of other slashers before, this is more of a straightforward slasher, which I'm not as into. I like the series, we'll get into it more later, but once you kind of get the thing it's known for.
Don't be spoiling your favorites and things at this stage. That's
I'm not going to say like which ones are my favorite, but I'm just going to say like I like Jason and what the series kind of becomes, but this is more just like a straightforward slasher that I'm not as like keen on, but it is well done, so I can't really like fault it. Now,
to piggyback off a few of your points there, one, I don't necessarily agree that you're a Freddy guy or a Jason guy, because I kind of grew up with both, and Michael. Like
this is like what I kind of felt like growing up. Like I don't think that now, but it was just, I don't know, it was just like the thing a weird thing you think of as a kid. I kind of thought that like Friday the 13th was for jocks and like Nightmare was for nerds, but
so you had a troubled childhood, is what you're telling me.
It wasn't perfect, but
far from perfect. Stupid, one might say. But you grew up to be not quite as stupid.
Sure.
What you want a compliment for me, Tim? Is that what you want? You want me to tell you you're a mature young man now? And that's not even true anymore. You're older than I am. But no, I'm not doing that. But there were sort of serious note of something you just said there about you liked what the series grew into. I think that's actually one of the key things I would bring up as well. Is I think Friday the 13th is one of these weird examples, and one of the few examples I think with a horror franchise where almost everyone I have ever met who likes the series I don't think I've ever met someone who thinks one is the best, which is which is the opposite of any other. Like Halloween is one the best, of course it is. Hellraiser is one the best, of course it is. Nightmare on Elm Street is one the best. Well, actually, there's an argument for another one, but a lot of people will say yes, one is the best. Like it's there's a fair portion of people who will say that. Take your pick. Like pick any horror franchise.
Leprechaun.
Almost.
What?
Sure, I mean, it was better than the other three I watched, I guess.
Yeah.
Or was the space one better? The space one might have been more bearable. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to choose, but yeah, I'd probably say either one or two is the best. But...
Hi, Tim, you're spoiling the eventual Leprechaun videos here. Because one day we're going to do it.
Yeah. You act like that. You act like that's a bad thing. Watch, I'm all for that. Hey, sign me up right now.
Basically, when we've ran out of every other single franchise we could probably do, that is when Leprechaun happens.
There's a lot of Children of the Corns we got to get through.
There is.
Rest assured.
There's like 9 of them, 10 Puppet Masters, all these franchises. Yeah, 10. Yeah.
Now, is Friday the 13th, is that the franchise with the most entries in it?
I think it might have been at one point. Oh, do you mean horror franchise or just franchise in general?
Horror.
Yeah, because I was going to say Godzilla has it way beat. Japanese Godzilla series has 29 movies in it now. But
that's true. Yeah.
And if you count James Bond, that's 2 now? 23? So
yeah, no one counts that guy.
that's fair. I don't like James Bond either. But so there's these examples. But James Bond did it over 40, 50 years, whereas Friday the 13th was 8 movies by the time it hit the 90s, which is insane. It did 8 movies in 10 years. So for a long time it was, but like I say, Puppet Master surpassed that. I think, Halloween surpassed it. You include the remakes, Halloween's at 10. Actually, no, because it's Friday the 13th.
Wait, isn't there 11?
11 or 12? 12 if you include Freddy vs. Jason, which is debatable, but yeah. You probably would, because you'd probably want to say that the next one's going to be the 13th, so you can make, the 13th Friday the 13th, which is also why it's a shame that it kind of got canned, when it was planned for this year. But, I would agree that one is not my favourite, one is not even probably in my top 5 Friday the 13th movies. In fact, it's probably on the lower end. It's not the worst by any means. There's one or two stinkers that kind of outweigh it, but
I still think it's a good movie, and it's one of those things where you kind of got to give it props, because it sets up so much stuff that it's like, oh, we probably wouldn't have this, not even other Friday movies, but in other horror movies in general.
Yeah, would we have Slumber Party Massacre if not for the success of Friday the 13th? Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Yeah, so
Sleepaway Camp? No way.
No, of course not. The Prowler? No, we wouldn't. Like all these movies, like we just wouldn't have them. So I think the first movie is a pretty decent but very typical slasher movie. I think it drags a little bit at times. Like its pacing's not particularly great. Yeah,
I always get bored in the middle. Like there's a good chunk where I just kind of like, all right, like strap in. This is when I kind of start to zone out.
And I think it's because the characters aren't either as likable or as goofy as some of the the later movies. I think the kills are typically pretty. I mean, a lot of the kills happen off screen. You just see the reaction of the the blade getting in or whatever. There's like 2 I can think of, or 3 if you include the killer at the end.
I would say about 3 that are like really like visceral in your face kind of stuff.
Yeah, obviously everyone remembers the arrow going through the bed. Kevin Bacon's
his neck
moment. Annie the cook, who is at the start of the movie, she's getting like hitchhiking up to the camp.
Oh right, yeah.
She gets her throat slit, and that's pretty graphic. And of course you have the beheading at the end. But that's pretty much it. All the other ones are basically off screen, or you'll just see the face kind of react. That's a lie. I'm forgetting.
Someone gets the hatchet in the face.
Yeah, the hatchet in the head. Yeah. Oh, that kill really annoys the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
But that just because I feel like she does that classic cliche thing where she sees the axe being swung at her, and instead of running, she just stands there and stares and screams in fear. And it just it always plays really goofy. Why aren't you trying to move? Like seriously.
Yeah. It is kind of weird when you rewatch it knowing who the killer is, that it's like, and like you said at the end, she doesn't seem that menacing when the final girl is putting up a pretty good fight, and it's kind of like, oh wow, like everyone was like so afraid of this person.
Yeah, this middle-aged woman who
Yeah.
isn't that strong. I mean, she's slapping Alice about at the end of the movie, but it feels that's actually part of why I think the reveal of her doesn't hold up. I think she's quite good. The actress, where are we? Betsy Palmer. I think she's quite good at the kill them, mummy, kill them for Jason, mummy. Like, see when she's doing that stuff, she's really creepy. She does a really good job with that. But when it actually comes to like hunting her down and like attacking her, the smacking about and they sort of like she smacks her back and they both kind of like go down at one point. It felt like a Star Trek episode. I don't know if you've watched the old Star Trek episodes, but the way they fight and it's all this fake slapping and stuff, it felt like that. It feels really goofy. Compared
I can see
to
that, yeah.
Well, I mean, slasher movies can be quite goofy, but this was a different type of goofy.
And even stuff like her haircut and like she's wearing like a sweater.
Yeah,
she's like it's
wearing,
not.
she's wearing like a winter sort of wool, pullover.
So it doesn't even. It's not even like she's a middle-aged lady, but she's like a deranged, crazy-looking person. It's like, oh no, she just kind of looks like a mom.
Yeah, but when she starts doing the whole kill them for me, mommy.
Yeah, that is creepy.
Yeah, she's quite good at that. When she actually starts acting crazy, she actually is quite good. So that's cool. But the whole final chase thing is a little bit repetitive because she chases her, like, once she reveals who she is, she chases her to one place and attacks her, then chases to another place where she's hiding and, like, sort of comes through the door, and we think she goes down again, like, she managed to hit her again, and then again she goes to the boat, and then again she shows up. Like, she keeps, like, it keeps ending and starting again, and it's not in a very overly interesting way. So, like, it's actually quite a typical slasher movie that doesn't really have a lot in it to stand out. I mean, the notable things about it are maybe the arrow kill, the fact that it gives birth to what Jason will become, but even though he's not really there for most of the movie, and that's kind of it. Like, there's not a whole lot in there that's actually that memorable on it. So also, it's Kevin Bacon's first movie, I guess, is the other claim to fame.
There is like some little stuff that I like, I guess maybe because it's iconic for the series or whatever, but just seeing the title like come at the screen and then shatter the glass, like, all right, that's pretty cool. And then
the music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, the music is phenomenal. Yeah. That's really good. Very iconic.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I do think some of the other music in the movie, like the heavy strings, that they're going for that psycho kind of like all the strings as someone's being killed. I think sometimes that's a little bit over the top, but it's pretty old school. I can't fault it too much. I guess I'm just a fan of your either your pianos of the Halloween or your synth stuff from elsewhere. Like you're gonna make a goofy 80s slasher
every
movie.
Other Carpenter movie.
Yeah, some synth. Yeah.
I like the. I don't know if this is the first movie to ever do it, but I do like the trope of the crazy old guy that warns you, not to go to where you're going.
It's got a death curse.
Damn it, Ralph! Get out of here.
Crazy Ralph, what a legend. Yeah, they call it Camp Blood. Good stuff. Yeah,
I'd probably still go to Camp Blood. Actually, I'd probably be more likely to go to Camp Blood.
Yeah, that's fair. That's the thing, though. The guy at the start of the movie, like, so this trucker who's driving kind of up that way, not all the way, but he's driving up the main bit of the road. He offers to give Annie, a lift, and he's like, okay. And then Ralph stops her on the way out. Don't go there. It's got a death curse. Right? And the truck driver kind of is like, oh, shut up, crazy Ralph. Don't mind him. He's just crazy. And then they're driving along, and literally a minute later, he's like, by the way, did they not tell you what happened up there? It's cursed. There was a fire, and then kids drowned, and people died, and you probably shouldn't go up there. And then, to be fair to Annie, she does go, you sound like your crazy friend back there. It's like, he does. He actually does. He's saying the exact same thing. He's just not being as dramatic about it, but there you go.
Oh, yeah, well, he was right about that one thing. I mean, he's still crazy, but he got the whole curse thing right on.
Oh, sure. I'll tell you one little thing I do like here is the way this scene's filmed is actually kind of weird in terms of vehicle shooting. It's shot in shot reverse shot, but the shots are like POV shots almost of each person. They're very side on as the person sitting in the truck. Yeah. And it's kind of effective because when she gets picked up again and it's the killer's car and it's the same shot, but you never see the reverse shot, it actually, like, it kind of justifies why it's such a weird shot because we already had it in the previous scene. So it kind of works in that sense. Yeah. But it's kind of funny how this killer doesn't have a mask or anything like that. Like, it's never implied that she's in any way disguising herself. She's actually using the fact that she's like a sort of nice middle-aged lady to get close, you know, without anyone expecting that something bad's going to happen, and then she'll, you know, strike.
Yeah.
Except with Annie, who she like kind of lets, it makes it obvious she's in danger, and then she lets her run around for a bit, and then kills her.
Yeah. And yeah, I kind of mentioned this before, but yeah, if I'm gonna be into a slasher, I need to have like a good, you know, villain, like something that really cool or iconic looking, and yeah, we do get that later in the series. You know, Jason ends up becoming one of the, you know, most iconic horror figures that we know, but
arguably the most iconic.
True, yeah. But yeah, just this little old lady, it's like, that's the killer. I don't know.
I almost miss jean jacket, you know, denim jacket and Covergirl Man from Slumber Party Massacre.
Yeah.
he you know, he had some intimidating eyes on him.
Yeah, at least he looked a little, you know, a little more dangerous, had a little bit more style.
That said, though, she does use the machete. The machete is in play in this movie. I don't think they knew it was going to be the signature weapon of the series at this point, but it just happens to be that they were using a machete.
Yeah.
So that's cool. In fact, it's first used to cut up a snake.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There's lots of little things with the characters that are kind of like never really brought up again. Like the fact that Steve, who's running the place, like almost does. It's actually kind of funny, like watching like this little moment now with all this Harvey Weinstein stuff coming out. But he sort of goes up to Alice like, "Oh, just stay a week, see if it." And he's topless, by the way. I mean, to be fair, he's out working like in the heat, so I mean, there's, you know, it's context wise, it's fine. But you know, he's topless. He's got his hairy man chest all out there in the opening. You know, he's trying to seduce her. And he's like, just no, stay a week. If you don't like it, I'll put you on the bus myself. It's fine. And then he puts his hand in and like, you know, brushes her hair back. It's like, thanks, Alice. Just has a little creepy moment as he walks off. And it's like, oh. Actually, it's one of the weird things about watching this. If you happen to know your trivia, is that the actress who plays Alice, Adrienne King, she got an actual stalker after this movie came out.
Oh no.
Yeah, someone who was obsessed with her because of this movie. And
Jesus.
Yeah. Obviously ended up not going anywhere to see it because like she's fine.
Oh, okay.
But
that's good.
Like I think she had to move house and a couple of other things. Like I think that's part of the reason why she's only in a small part of 2. She didn't want to be like, she wanted just to be done and gone because her life was in turmoil.
Jesus.
Yeah, it sucks. It's bullshit. You know, fans be crazy. But the funny thing is though is that she's as much as what I'm about to say sounds like an insult. I don't really mean it in terms of her. It's just the character's not actually that deep. So in terms of the final girls of horrordom, she's kind of dull and not that interesting. She just kind of happens to be the one who survives. Like you could have almost told me that any one of the girls could have ended up being the final girl. Like you know, what's the one who plays Monopoly? Brenda. Like she could have been the final girl if she just happened to be the one who survived.
A lot of times when you start the movie, you get a pretty clear sense of like, this is the main character, this is the person we're gonna follow, and this, like, yeah, I don't really get that much off of her character, you know, as being like, you know, it doesn't feel like, hey, central focus, you know, like pay attention to her.
If anything, Annie, who gets picked up at the start, is kind of one who feels the most likely, partly because. Yeah. She seems, you know, she doesn't seem like she's like too much of a stereotype in any direction. She's kind of just nice and normal. She's pleasant, and she also talks about how she's always wanted to work with kids. So it's like, okay, if you're into that Halloween vibe of like someone who actually is good with children, is the protector and that kind of thing. She's a bit more motherly, and therefore she's the one who's maybe the most sort of pure, if you will, if you want to use that word. But we get the shock death with her early on, which by the way reminds me of something she says while she's talking to I think it's the killer. I think she's talking to Mrs. Voorhees, but she's talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to be I'm going to be cooking food for 60 children and 10 counselors, and I've always wanted to work with children, and it's really hard. But when you've had a dream as long as I have, you'll do anything. And I'm like, wait, your dream? I mean, that's a pretty attainable dream. Like, it's not your dreams to be an astronaut that takes like, not only would you have to get like some really serious like diplomas and degrees and masters and doctorates, and then maybe get selected out of like however many exist to be the one of the few who get trained for such a job. Cooking food for kids is a pretty attainable goal.
Oh sure.
I don't know. I don't know. It's also a weird dream for someone to have like that at this age. Like she's like college age and it's her dream.
Yeah, what has she been doing this whole time?
I don't know. Just strange. That's all.
I forget. Did they say how long it's been since Jason died? That incident.
Yeah, they do, because it's I might be 1 year or two out here because I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically it was like he drowned in like 57, and then the kill at the start of the movie, the flashback, is a year later. That's 58, and now it's present day 1983.
Okay.
Or was it 83? No, 1980. Sorry.
Yeah, that was 80.
It's because the 3's there because of the 13, but 1980.
Oh right.
Yeah, present day 1980. So what's that?
Yeah. So what has she been doing this whole time? That she hasn't been able to cook for kids yet, and she also, I guess, has been waiting to kill people.
But no, that wasn't the killer who said this.
No, I'm saying, what has the killer been doing though between if the last kill was like 58.
Oh, because the guy mentions, the previous truck driver, he mentions that there was a fire after that when they tried to reopen it again, and in another year the water was bad. So it sounds like over the years, every time someone tries to reopen the camp, she steps in and either kills someone, burns something down, whatever.
Interesting. Oh, surprised we never got any like prequels showing.
Oh God, no! I don't want prequels. Tim, don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas. I want Jason in my Friday the 13th. Don't give me stupid Mrs. Voorhees, the early days prequels, when she's like, the last thing I want is like, like a few years after Jason dies and she's still like in her 20s, so they cast some hot actress to be the slutty Mrs. Voorhees. I don't want that, Tim, because that's what they'll do.
Yeah, I wish I could argue with you, but that is exactly what they would do.
And do you know what? I would bet you every penny I ever make in my life that they will somehow find a way to get her in a hockey mask. Somehow.
Oh sure. Yeah.
There'd be no reason for it. It would make no sense. But they will write it in somehow. They'll be like, oh, and her husband who died before Jason was born. He was a hockey player, so this is his mask. It means something to her, which would just pollute the whole idea of Jason randomly finding the mask later on.
At the very least, have some stupid thing where she walks by a hockey mask or something and looks at it and goes like, next time, or something, or like something stupid.
But did you just like take a scene from the first Iron Man with War Machine and replace it with Mrs. Voorhees and the hockey mask?
Maybe.
God damn it, Tim. God damn it. Oh, dear. It's funny because we've actually gotten a pretty decent amount of conversation out of this and just talking about what it is, because we've not really talked about the actual. Because sometimes we'll go through the sequence of events, we'll talk about what happens in the plot, but honestly, there's not a whole lot that does actually happen in the plot.
Yeah, it's like typical, like summer camp slasher movie. Again, like unfortunately, they're, like we said, the characters I feel like aren't that memorable, so it's not like, I can't really think of too many scenes that are like, I don't know. There's the one scene where like the guy's dressed up like a Native American, but even that's like not.
Let's talk about that scene though, because a local police officer comes by on his bike to question about Ralphie being around. This is before he jumps out and scares them. And this cop, I don't even know why this scene is here specifically. I mean, I get why he's here to like warn about Ralphie, but they make a big deal of this cop being such a character, this hard ass who, like, basically almost bites Kevin Bacon's head off for getting near his bike, and he's talking to them all and making them all nervous. And we never see him again. Later on, when we see other cops, it's different people.
It's true. Yeah.
Also, when he leaves the scene, the camera makes a point of following him doing this big U-turn up at the other end of the road and then driving all the way back. and then it cuts to another scene because I thought something was going to happen to him or with them later on because the camera was lingering on him for so long, but he just leaves after we spend so much time following him go down the other side and then back up that way. Sure.
Yeah, it's like very like again it's kind of hoping that the one guy's being like so goofy and dumb and stuff that maybe this would be a more memorable scene, but yeah, it just kind of ends up being like nothing really.
Yeah. I say you've got a scene where the jokester pretends to drown so he can kiss the girl. You've got a scene where they get a snake in one of the cabins and they have to kill it with a machete. You got strip Monopoly.
Which that just sounds like, I don't know, Monopoly. It's not really a fun game. I don't know, like it's not like a fast game. It's not the ideal like game you want to add the level of stripping to it. I just feel like that's a poor choice.
It depends if you want to go slow. Maybe you want to tease it out.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know.
And do you make the dark blue streets, do you make them be the ones that like, oh no, that's the underwear streets, like that's the big money?
I guess. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, there'd be so many better choices. Battleship, Yahtzee, Hungry Hippos.
Hungry Hippos. I can see Battleship working actually.
I think that would be a good one, yeah.
Especially if you assign each ship as like an item of clothing, because you have typically you have like 5 ships, so you're like, all right, so shirt, trousers, underwear, like you can split it up into each ship.
Yeah,
nice and simple. So if they happen to get the best ship first, then that's the underwear off first, and so on.
There you go.
End up with some wacky combinations of clothes at the end of it. So. Where do I go from there? I don't know. I will say, like, the kills aren't particularly suspenseful. The one time I did think it got a little bit good in terms of the suspense is when Brenda, the one who initiates the Monopoly, she eventually says, "Okay, it's time for an early night," and she goes back to her room. She goes to the bathroom, then she goes back to her place and she starts doing a little bit of reading or writing, and then she hears like noises. She hears like, and by the way, this is never explained either. Like. Apparently, Mrs. Voorhees can do a pitch perfect impression of a little boy screaming for help. It's like, "Help me, mommy, help me!" So Brenda goes
That's
out
not too bad.
in just her nightie as it's pouring of rain, and she's like going through the rain in the dark. And the way it's filmed, like, everything's very dark. It's very, they didn't light a whole lot much of it, so you just see her kind of wander about with the flashlight. That makes for some effective moments. I think that makes for a couple of cool little suspenseful bits.
Yeah, I do like any of those scenes in the rain. I thought looked really cool, and it did give this nice kind of creepy feeling. Like you really can't see or hear much around you. And,
yeah, because she ends up in the archery range, and the killer turns all the lights on, and which again is kind of very non-Friday the 13th. I can't imagine Jason in any other movies going to turn things on and off to help with his kill. He basically just walks through the room like a Terminator to get to them. It's fine. But whatever. I'm not gonna complain too much about that. It makes for some good moments though. So let's talk about the ending. Let's talk about the beheading and the slow motion that accompanies it.
I'm into this.
Are you into how like she gets her head cut off, but her hands are still moving as she goes down?
Yeah, I think that's cool.
That's cool. Okay. just asking. Just asking.
But I mean, I do like that. She does it, and she gets the upper hand, and it's not like something where she knocks her out and then looks away and then she's gone or something. Like, no, she like wins the day, and I'm always in for a good beheading.
That's fair. I think it's okay. I don't think the moment actually builds up to it particularly great. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's about to have something big's about to happen because the music changes dramatically and it starts to go in slow motion. But I don't really feel like the fight was like there to build up to it, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's fair.
I feel like I'm being harsh on it. Honestly, it's a pretty okay slasher movie. It's just not.
Yeah.
It doesn't really stand out. It's more important because of what came next. The first one on its own is just kind of, it's kind of typical. It's kind of the baseline of what a slasher movie is, and then stuff will be better than it. Some stuff will be worse than it, but that's kind of where it is. But as a result of, it's kind of the vanilla slasher movie in a lot of ways.
Oh sure, yeah.
So
yeah, and this is one that's like, if you've never seen it before, I think it's good to watch. But I mean, honestly, if you're doing, rewatch of the series, I think you could skip this one if you've already seen it before.
I typically don't. I'm kind of a completist. That said, though, I don't want to spoil my feelings. There is one other one that I do actually will skip every other time I rewatch the series. And not this time, of course, because this time we're doing them all for the show. And I'm making noises.
I have two guesses about what it could be, but yeah, we won't ruin it.
It's only one and only. But yeah, so we should talk about the actual sort of post-ending ending where Alice goes out.
Of course.
Alice goes out in the boat in the lake, and we see her in the morning, and she's just sort of she's asleep. She's just sort of hanging off the boat, and it's this very tranquil music. It's a good little piece of music actually. The drum beats kicking in, and it's like very, very tranquil. And the police are off at the shore, sort of waving her down, and she gets up, and obviously there's a big jump scare where Jason jumps out of the water, all deformed, and pulls her under. Now, this is actually one of the most effective jump scares I've ever seen, because it actually does it offbeat. And what I mean by that is the music, like, even though I know it's coming, every time it is, I always have a hard time predicting when it is, because it doesn't fall on the beat of the music you expect it to fall on.
Yeah.
Because typically when you're building up to a jump scare, you can almost count it. You can always be like, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It'll always be on the 3. You can always, and that's just an example. I'm just kind of making that up, but it kind of has that feel to it. Most jump scares. Whereas this one, it's like 1, 2, 3, 1. Ah! It's kind of like that. And I don't actually jump because it's not scary, but it's effectively offbeat, and because of that, I think that's why it's so memorable. I think that's why when it plays for the first time, most people genuinely don't see it coming, because it is such an offbeat little moment. But
sure, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I never really, I guess, thought about it in those terms, but yeah, it is something that always, gets me. I mean, not like I've seen it a million times, but yeah, even rewatching it the other day, like knowing it was gonna come, like I couldn't predict the precise moment.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I don't know if Tom Savini did this Jason, but I know he did the kills. It's kind of funny knowing that he's like the guy who did this. He's like obviously the famous makeup effects guy. It's weird that half of the kills are off camera. Like it's almost like they had the budget for 3 or 4 good kills, so that this is where the money gets spent. Every other one happens off screen, and it's all that POV shot where you just see the face going as they get stabbed. And that's just kind of all it is. And of course, the final moment is she wakes up in the hospital, as if this final moment in the boat was a dream, and she's like, "Did you get the boy, Jason? Did you get the boy?" He's like, "We didn't find no boy, ma'am." Then I guess he's still out there. Look at camera, credits roll, which is funny because I don't know if they were actually intentionally leaving it open for a sequel. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look at the extras again, because I think they do say it. There's a fantastic documentary, by the way.
Oh yeah. Crystal Lake Memories.
Crystal Lake Memories, yeah. It's like 4.5 hours long. It goes through the whole series, of course. That's why it's so goddamn long. But it's a very good watch, and it covers all of them pretty equally as well. You don't feel like they skimp on the weaker ones because they want to give more time to the others. They all get pretty decent treatment.
Yeah.
But so that's the first Friday the 13th. Like I say, pretty typical. I think when I get to my rating here, like my rating's going to be very kind of indicative of how I view it in terms of slasher movies, where it's kind of the baseline and everything either builds on it or is worse than it because it's really shit or whatever. But this is the baseline. So, Tim, what would you give the original Friday the 13th?
This is another one where it's kind of hard because just going by the movie alone. I do think I would give it like, not saying like a super low score or anything, but like a lower score, which feels weird because, it's the first Friday the 13th movie. Again, just going on, like how franchises work and stuff. And, thing being so iconic, you'd think like, oh yeah, this should be like big movie, have a big rating. But yeah, every time I rewatch it, I get pretty bored during the middle. There's there's definite stuff I like, but again, overall, it's not what the series becomes later, which is what I really love. So I still gonna give it, I think, a good, decent score, but I think I'm gonna go with a 6, and I don't know, even that might be a little high, but I don't know. I feel bad because it's the start of a classic
can
series.
tell you feel bad because you spent about 5 minutes trying to like I want to give it this, but this is why I'm giving it this. Don't be mad at me, people. Don't be mad. I don't want hateful comments, please. Yeah, it's kind of tough. I'm going to go 5.5 because I said it was the baseline, and I feel like the baseline should probably be a 5. However, I think that's just a little bit too cruel because I do think there is some good moments in there, and there are things to really, elevate it a little bit. But ultimately, it is kind of the basic one. Whenever I rewatch the franchise, this is not the one I'm looking forward to rewatching. This is the one that's like, yeah, I'll watch it for the sake of getting through all of the good ones, but it's not one that I, get excited about. It's not one where I have that many fond memories of. Those will come later, and you'll get more of those in the months to come as we work through all 12 Friday the 13th. And I'll also mention that next Friday we'll also have another big franchise film to kick off another franchise. I don't think it's that hard to guess what it is, but I'll just say it's happening. Speculate away.
It rhymes with Schmepricon.
No, it does not. I am delighted to say.
Well, there's my guess.
Is there anything that actually rhymes with leprechaun? Yeah, I suppose there is. I once saw a really shitty Leprechaun. It was a movie when the telly was on.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, kind of works.
Yeah, okay. Anything that ends with on basically could rhyme with leprechaun.
Yeah.
You just have to focus on the last syllable. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, that's fine. I'm glad we figured that out, Tim. I'm glad we sussed that out for the record. Oh dear. So this has been the first Friday the 13th. It is a decent sort of by the numbers, but it led to great things to come. So more on that when we get to them. But that's been it. So to start off the sort of the end part of the show here, I actually I want to mention that our YouTube channel got hit today with what people have been referring to as the adpocalypse. We actually thought we'd gotten away without it, but because this started a while ago and we didn't get touched, we thought, oh, maybe because we just do movie reviews and stuff. We're just a couple of guys talking. We just talk about movies and TV shows, and other videos we do. That maybe we wouldn't get touched. And unfortunately, after today, a lot of our videos, in fact, every single episode almost of Streams After Midnight is now deemed unsuitable for advertising, which basically means we are not getting a penny. I mean, we might get a penny, because it says limited to no ads, so I don't know if that means there is the odd occasional one. I'm going to assume it means none. But yeah, so that kind of sucks. It means that we are not making any money off of YouTube anymore for these. And we didn't make a whole ton, but we did make some. And that kind of sucks, and that did help out with stuff. So this isn't necessarily just like a pity speech, so you'll go over to patreon.com and give us money. I just, basically now we are solely funded by Patreon. So if you were on the fence, or if you do want to help us out, obviously liking, subscribing, and giving us comments, all of that stuff helps because it spreads to more people that way. But if you directly want to help and you directly want to keep things going, and because that money helps cover renting new movies that come out, or going to the theater, all that kind of thing. If we're covering a lot of those, so if you do want to help out, patreon.com/MailerFuzzTV, you get some bonuses for Screams as well as some other things, and there's links in the description. There'll be a link in the corner of the video up in that side. Make it as easy as possible to get to, but so YouTube's basically screwing us over.
Pretty much.
On the upside, I mean, we did avoid saying fuck before because we didn't want this to happen, and now that it's happened anyway, I guess there's no reason not to say fuck as much as we want. But
there we go. Fuck you, YouTube.
There you go. So welcome to the fucking revolution, I guess. But yeah, so there's that. What else do I usually promote? Do I promote anything? Well, it's October, so I'll pimp out. You know, me and Tim, we started off doing a top 100 horror series. It's 4 parts. We did part 1 this week. Part 2 will be coming next Tuesday. It will end on the final Tuesday of the month, which happens to be Halloween itself. So we've done 100 through 76. Obviously, we're doing a lot more movies. I won't mention them all, obviously, but you can just go and see it. I think this is number
7, 8,
something. I'm really curious now. Actually, I'm really curious now that I've
13.
I've pondered. I'm actually going to. Oh, that'd be cool if it was. I don't think it is, but that would be cool if it was. I'm actually going to go check. This is the real casual part of the show now, where we're just looking up things.
Yeah.
Whilst recording. Friday the 13th is getting a much longer runtime just out of this bollocks now, but see, now YouTube's not even loading quickly. It's actually been a little menace, just in other ways.
Jesus.
I know, it's shocking. Right, so where was the first one? There's that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Including the top 100 video, because I'm including those as part of the October-thon. 2, 4, 6. I've forgotten the number now. 8. Yeah, so this is movie number 11, or it's movie number 10.
Oh, wow.
Not including the 100 one, it's movie number... It's the 11th video, but it's the 10th movie.
Damn.
So, we're working hard.
I didn't realize that, yeah.
Yeah, we're going strong. We're really knocked out. I think the one that I would... If I was going to pick one... We'll both pick one, right? To recommend. So if you've not watched all of these, go back and watch this one. Now, I'm picking the obvious one. The Evil Within is a movie that, unlike no other, I highly recommend you go back and check out our Evil Within review, because honestly, it's the only movie of its kind. It was made by a billionaire on his own, who was also a meth addict. It took him 15 years, and he died 2 years ago before it came out. So, it is crazy town. I recommend going and checking out our review of that.
Yeah, the review was really entertaining, and the movie is just so crazy and one of a kind. If you haven't heard of it, there's some problematic stuff that, it's hard to recommend watching it, but at least check out the trailer, I think, to get an idea of just what kind of crazy thing this is.
Oh yeah, the subject matter is touchy. What would you like to out of the ones we've done in October, Tim? What one would you like to?
Did we do Gerald's Game? Was that October?
Yes, that was the first one. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's actually a movie I've been recommending. Like, a lot of people that have been coming to me asking for new, what's a good horror movie I can watch in October? What's a good new horror flick or whatever, blah blah. And I keep recommending this one. It's on Netflix, so it's easy for most people to access. And I'm still really, really impressed by how much I liked it. And I highly recommend people check that out.
The review, not the movie. I mean, both technically, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, the review is good too, but if it helps you get interested in the movie, or, you watch the movie first and then do the review, sure. But
I don't think you understood the point of this section, Tim, which was to promote one of our videos. Go see the movie. Or maybe, catch the review maybe afterwards, but see the movie. That's the important part. God damn it, you're like... Your streams after midnight's own worst enemy, you know that?
Hells yeah.
Anyway, guys, that is us, so thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Get us on the Twitters at mild_fuzz. I wonder if it's worth setting up a dedicated streams after midnight Twitter, just so that it can be a bit more active, talking about horror related things, rather than being tied to just the one that's promoting everything that's on the channel. But I don't know. Let us know what you think. Would you like a dedicated Twitter? We could probably do that, and that could be a thing. But there you go. So that has been Friday the 13th, on Friday the 13th. So happy Friday the 13th if you're watching this the day it goes up. If not, then just know that that's the spirit of which it was done. Because like we say, it's going to be a long time before we get another Friday the 13th in October. We had to take this opportunity. Yeah. When I saw this was happening, I was like, no, we are starting the Friday the 13th movies on that day. Hell, I almost wanted to do all of them in one day.
Jesus.
That was unfeasible. but here we are. So thank you very much, guys. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.